Okay, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. I hope you are a Patreon patron. If so, thank you for your patronage. We really need the support. Contributions are way down, so if you can find an extra $5 here or there to up your contribution, really appreciate it. If you're a subscriber on the YouTube channel, thank you. You're getting this real time as well. If you are a Prime member, and whether you're a subscriber or not, if you're a Prime member and have a Twitch account, link those two together. We have instructions in the show description below, and we get paid a couple bucks a month, so that will help out a lot. Please remember to do that. And if you haven't renewed it in a while, please go down and follow the instructions. It takes a second. It's a one click, and we'll keep getting paid. And if you're doing none of those things, follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. All right, fellow babies. Today's question from Twitter at NintendoLove88. Why do you think Nintendo is spared the pressure of starting a Game Pass-like service of its own? You see a lot of people expecting Sony to do it, but not Nintendo for some reason. Is it because of people like me who buy every Nintendo game day one? Why is Nintendo held to a different standard? It's not a different standard. There's a really good argument that selling games one at a time is a better business than streaming them. And I think that's like saying, is the consolidated movie business selling movie tickets and DVD sales and rentals and pay-per-view rentals and all the revenue you get from HBO and Showtime and Movie Channel, is that better than what Netflix does? And the answer is a lot more money and a lot more profitable. So why is it that Netflix thrives? Because Netflix figured out a way to get content cheap and deliver it to consumers cheaply and got a ton of subscribers. It is not healthy for the ecosystem. So Netflix, I'll give you an easy example. The average cable bill in the US is $85. The average Netflix subscription is $15. So that difference, $70. If you cut the cable, you say, I'm done. I cut my cord, I'm done. And you watch Netflix only, where does the $70 go? Two places: in your pocket and out of the pockets of all the people who created the content for cable. That's a problem, okay? Not that everybody's going to do that, and obviously Netflix isn't a perfect substitute for cable TV, but if there were 4 or 5 cable services that added up, cable streaming services that gave you sports and American Idol and Netflix type content and movies, and you could pay $50 instead of $85, the ecosystem loses $35. And if they lose $35, that's $35 that isn't available to pay content creators. And if you spend less for content creators aren't going to be paid as much to make it, and they're going to make worse content. Now, the only way you fix that is more people spend or buy the $50 bundle. So if, let's just say, there's 2 billion people on the planet who have cable TV subscriptions, and you go from $85 to $50, you need to go to like 3.5 billion to make it work. It's a problem. It's not going to work. Where it did work was cell phones. My first cell phone, I paid $140 a month, and I was limited to 60 minutes of talk time. And I paid extra for voicemail, roaming, long distance, and long distance meant like out of LA. So if I called somebody in San Francisco, I paid, an extra 20 cents a minute. So my cable bill, my phone bill used to be about $200 a month, and I literally talked about an hour a month. Now I have 4 phones for $140, unlimited everything. So how do they make money? And now we talk a lot. My screen time is several hours a day. I'm on the internet all the time. I talk all the time. How do they make money? Because when I had a cell phone at $140, I was one of maybe 20 million people who had one. Now I'm one of 3.5 billion people who have one. So 3.5 billion times $35 is more than 10 million or 20 million times 140. That's the only way it can make money. So Nintendo has figured this out. And Nintendo knows that they will make more money selling you games. Microsoft, I think, recognizes that the console doesn't have a place in the ecosystem. That if your PC can play games and you have a PC, and I have two, and you have a microprocessor in your house, how long till somebody just says download the game to your PC and play it on your TV? So Microsoft has seen this coming probably from the day they invented the Xbox. And they built out their cloud business, Azure, and they've recognized that we're going to move away from consoles eventually. So they're trying to hang on to what they've got, which is this giant cloud infrastructure, lots of games, and a subscription service, because they see the console business going to zero. Sony hadn't figured that out yet, but they kind of get it. I mean, they do. And so I think Sony's emulating them. Nintendo's like, 85% of the stuff that we sell dollar-wise on a Nintendo console is our content. No one else is getting it. Screw them. You want to play our content, you buy our console. So Nintendo's got this defensible niche because they actually managed to figure out how to create first-party content that is sufficient in quantity to support the console, and it works. And they've been kind of abandoning third-party for the last 10 years, certainly since the Wii U. We had some third-party support, far more than the Switch does, and it didn't work. EA put all their sports games on. They were terrible, and nobody played them. Wii U and Switch, no, not so much. Third-party support is limited to catalog stuff and old stuff. Some Japanese stuff and some $10 and $15 games. But Nintendo has enough first-party content to support it. If Nintendo's smart, rather than emulate Sony and Microsoft, they'll do what Nintendo's famous for, which is kind of do something different. And that's something different. I would take all their games and put them on mobile. Not their Switch games, their old GBA and Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and DS games. Put them on mobile. And even if you sell people like a bolt-on mobile controller that looks like a Switch controller set, but the Game Vice makes one. But put them on mobile and charge $5 a month. And, can you imagine a subscription service where Nintendo says, okay, on launch day there's 100 games, because they have like 2,000. There's 100 games, and every month we're going to add 10. They can do that for only 10 more years before they run out of titles. And it's $5 a month. How many people would subscribe to that? I would say conservatively 100 million, and likely 200 or 300 million. So if they got 100 million people paying them $5 a month, that's a good service. That's 500 million bucks a month. They would be minting money. And porting those games to mobile, piece of cake. Like, really easy to do. Now, they might say the mobile control scheme is too wonky and it doesn't work, but if you ever played like Super Mario Brothers 3 on the GBA, it's like, what are your buttons? Forward and jump. So you could just drag your thumb to move and back up and boom, boom, boom. So, yeah, I think it's pretty easy to do. And I think if you do see them do something, it'll be catalog that way. I think their experiment right now with the Nintendo Online Premium, whatever it's called, the $50 thing is that. They're seeing how it works on Switch. But ultimately, and by the way, you could put it on Switch and just make it $5 a month. But that requires you to buy a Switch. And you're not going to get 200 million players because you don't have 200 million Switches out there yet. If you put it on mobile, and again, only Game Boy games, not just GBA and Game Boy, nothing else. You don't even need DS. They could do that forever. And you could pay all the bankrupt THQs for all their DreamWorks and Pixar games. Remember those that were on GBA? And for all their Nickelodeon games, Rugrats. Remember that? Mm-hmm. You could put all that shit on there, and people would love it. So I actually think that is something that'll happen. But I don't think that they intend to follow the pack. That's just not what Nintendo does. Thanks for joining us on SIFTD.net as a Patreon patron. And if you are paying monthly, thank you. Keep it up if you can. You can squeeze an extra $1 or $2 into the account. Like I said, Shane is just dying here, so we need all the help we can get. If you are a YouTube subscriber, thank you so much. Please remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. and that's automatic. Just follow the instructions in the show description below. Otherwise, follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter, and I will see you next time.